Good morning. My name is Parker Rex, and I led product for a startup that did $50 million a year before we exited. After that, I tried to do a startup with a couple really, really silly ideas in hindsight, but quickly came to realize that I needed to be a developer, not just a product manager who was technical. So I spent the last 3 years just doing full time AI development and some good client projects as well. And on this channel, basically just building in public. I'm trying to scale the AI services that I do to 100K a month, and I do a daily update. So, partially to keep myself accountable, but as I keep posting these, people will find out about them and be able to see the stuff that I'm learning and follow along. So, the schedule for today is got a couple things that I want to cover. But first off, I think the mic will be better off. I know the audio in the last one was pretty rough, but we're early here, so probably won't have many people watching it anyways, which is fine. But first, I want to do some video planning. I have a new system in place for this. It's really just like taking what I've learned in product management and applying it to video editing or video planning. I want to go through some of the benefits of roles and prompting. And everyone kind of knows about this stuff where it's like, oh, act as an accountant or you are, or writing assistant or whatever. There's like some basic ones, but I think that you can get way more in depth. So it's like, oh, you are an accountant or you are a blank. Like the whole point of that is like you are a X. But I've found that you can get even more detailed with some of the business planning stuff that I'm doing. So I wanted to go through that. Quick client lesson. This plays into the overall cohort type of working with less technical people versus technical and some thoughts on that. We're going to go through the website that I built out, kind of talk about the technical side of that, what I'm planning on doing with it. I want to talk about a trend that's going on in SaaS where Supabase is like blowing up, but I also see a problem, which could be an opportunity for business owners like myself. And then going through some website stuff. And then I want to actually get really technical towards the end on some code, which will be fun because it's multi-agentic and I need to get that project running. So first of all, on the brand side and the video planning, just make sure everything's good here. My levels, not dropping any frames. Cool. Yeah, it seems fine. It's daylight savings here in the US. I think it's daylight savings. It's today. Daylight savings. Yeah, so it starts today, which means that we skip it an hour forward, which is really quite weird. Not sure why we do that, but that's today. So cheers to that. A little coffee. Let's see. So on the video editing side, I first want to just see, I talked about this in the video yesterday, but um, my YouTube's been flat for pretty much ever. And this is the guy, boom. I've been watching this guy's videos. They're good. He's taught me a lot about no code stuff that I did not know. Okay, so it looks like I'm weeding out a lot of the people that I've had because I had a small audience. I think I grew this to like 5,400 or no, sorry, like 5,000, like quite a while ago. So right now it's just like hovering around the same number, which I'm fine with. And I kind of expect as I'm just reactivating this channel. So if you think of a YouTube channel as an asset, that's kind of what it is. It's an audience. It's one of the harder platforms to crack. You can build an audience that may not resonate with the content that you make later. So I've had this channel for a long time. And you can see, I'm going to pull up my lifetime stats, but it's taken a while because it's like, wow, you've had this thing for a while. So I had it for, wow, since 2013, but I didn't start posting until, let's see, 2020. So let me go to 2020 to date. So let's do, when was I doing? Feb of 2020. No, December of 2020. Like 5 years ago, I started posting on this channel. So let's do that too now. Cool. Let's see. But you'll notice that a lot of the videos I was making were in the like product management specific arena. So it looks like I posted like day in the life of a software PM, building apps with Notion, talking about our idea to sale, talking about Allbirds, like kind of all over the place, how to win in product management, like basically really nailing down the product management keyword. And then after that, it's like kind of this mixture of like a couple different topics. It'd be product management, it'd be day in the life, it'd be a review of some piece of software. But those are really different things. Like I think the vlog style ones are just such a pain in the butt to make and don't really reflect what I actually do every day. So they're too hard to make, even when I had a day job. But you can see that, you start to pick up some steam, you start to build a little bit of a subscriber base. But then recently, I basically wow, stopped posting for 3 years. You come back and it's like you're almost starting from zero because you are now posting videos that are very technical. They're about AI. So I've just noticed that like where I did maybe say 18, 6, 24, let's call it like 30-ish videos. And in the 30 videos, there's also a gap in between. So now I'm just getting back in the kind of rhythm of reigniting a previous audience slash kind of moving them out. But I'm not really that focused on what's going on every day or every month because I'm just getting back into it. I know that this is an asset and it's like investing. Started investing like when Snapchat IPO came out, and like you just learn it's like compound interest, but with audience. It's like get in the habit. It's like your dollar cost averaging, which means in investing world, it's like you put $5 in every single day. I know if I do, 3 videos a week on the main channel and then a video every day on here, that I will naturally get better at speaking on the camera, naturally, basically sharpen up those muscles that have maybe gotten a little flabby. It's a tough visual. But then when it comes to the actual video ideas, this is a really popular framework in product management where it's like if you had a feature, it'd be like feature name, it'd be impact, confidence, ease, and then you'd have ice. And so if you had a feature, and let's say you're building out a calorie tracking iPhone app and you want to say that you need AI vision feature where you take a photo of the food and then it gives you the calories, and it would give you a rough estimate of the macros, like the proteins, the fats, and the carbs. You would guess, you'd have an overall goal, which is like increase daily minutes used. So if that's your goal, then you would base these scores 1 to 10 for each of these. You'd have this list of features, and then you'd go through it and you'd say, okay, what's the level of impact that I think having this AI vision feature will have on a calorie tracking app that I'm building? Well, I think that this is probably going to be like a 9 because a lot of people kind of expect that out of that sort of app. And then my confidence in the impact, like I might be thinking that this is going to be so high impact, but am I that confident in it? Like it could be really good, but will it? So it's this additional kind of feel test where it's like, okay, if it hits, it hits, but I'm not sure if it's going to hit. So in this case, I think, yeah, it's probably 9. And then ease, well, okay, based on the implementation, are we going to be storing the photos? Are we going to be the ephemeral? Are we going to be adding them to our kind of library to be able to go through them later to train it on a bigger model? All those things would be in your head. And then you'd be like, well, out of 10, 10 being the easiest, where is this at? You say, okay, well, I think it's probably a 5 because I do want to train. And so then I would do that. And then I just get the average. So you're trying to get a higher ice score. And so I kind of am bringing this into here where it's like, well, what's the ease of it to make? And then how likely do I think it's going to blow up? And I just call it an EL score. So what I've started doing is just that. So I'm going to kind of go through these real quick, but I think that this will be a good barometer for me because I start by going and I look around at what stuff is working. And I talked about this in a previous video, but the way I'm thinking about this is I have two kind of niches that I'm trying to target with my old channel. So on my channel, let's call it main, and there's the channel. I have two. So the first one would be kind of like mass audience AI content. And then that scratches the itch for a lot more people, right? Because it would be stuff that like my mom or my fiance could watch if they were interested, where a topic might be like ChatGPT in 5 minutes or in 3 minutes. And that's based off of me going and typing in on YouTube just classic keywords that people would want to see. Because this space is so early, right? Like it's not old at all. So I might say ChatGPT tutorial, and then I can look and I can see, like, I know I made a video that basically mimicked this same setup. This was a masterclass style, 27 minutes, but you can see that I have an outlier score. You can kind of see like this one blew up, but these would be kind of bigger audiences. So it's like, ChatGPT tasks in 3 minutes, this sort of stuff. Now, what might be interesting is actually like this would be probably a good video where you have this guy that everyone in the tech bubble knows about, but people outside the tech bubble, like if I told someone on Twitter, do you know Andre Carpathy? They'd be like, yeah, of course. But if I said that name to someone that's not on Twitter, they'd be like, what? Who? But maybe you could reframe this and it'd be top 5 lessons from the guy, the creator of ChatGPT. And then I'd drop a note in there and I'd say, take Andre Carpathy video and extract the 5 lessons that apply to the largest audience. And you know what? Since we're here, we'll get back to the second niche, but this is just a really quick way that you can do this is like I'd open up Notebook LM. And this would be how I'd use AI to make a video about AI, right? Kind of meta. But I can just go to YouTube link and then paste in the YouTube link. And because I have Notebook LM Plus, I can add a bunch of stuff in here. But it's going to go ahead and it's trained on all that. And you can notice like that took 3 seconds. And I can make this podcast about it. But instead, I want to take a prompt that I have. I think I want to take a prompt. Yeah. You know what? I have a bunch of prompts that you can check out that might be helpful for this. Like if I want to make a blog post, I'd go into my Airtable, which you can access by, I don't think I use anything on paid plan. But if you go to parkerx.com and you go to resources, AI tools, you'll see this database in here. And under YouTube to blog posts, like what I could do here is I could take the notebook, which is basically just taking in that 2-hour long video and it summarized it so I can query against it. I can write stuff to it and it'll give me answers. And if I wanted a blog post, then I'd grab the one from YouTube to blog post. And if I wanted to, I could pick any one of these. So I could say, okay, what type of blog post do I want? Do I want a guidance tutorial, comprehensive? I just want to just as an example, let's try to see how to transform technology review to a blog. So I'll grab all the stuff that's in here. This is written inside of a code block because it was originally a TypeScript file. but in this case, we don't want that, obviously. So I have this, right? I have the source, and then I'm just going to paste this in. And let's see, why is it not letting me? Is there a restriction? What I'm guessing is you can't have this long of a prompt, which usually you'd see something that would let you know that. Let's see. Generated comprehensive. Let's take this, and we're actually going to use AI to reduce the size of this. Cut this prompt in half, but keep the semantic meaning. And let's fire that off. Because I'm guessing it's a length thing. Like let's see. Yeah, it is. Okay. So let's see if it's cut in half, how it'll do. Maybe it might need to be cut into a third. Let's see. Convert this to, yeah, cool. So let's see how this does in terms of the blog. And then I just wanted to give this as an example of how you could kind of approach taking a YouTube video and literally just turning it into a vlog. And so voila. So let's see the output of it. Andre, okay, in his latest video, Renowned Searcher provides a comprehensive, insightful look into the practical applications of large language models like ChatGPT. Moving beyond the underlying fundamentals discussed in this previous video, he delves. So delve. This is a meme. You would not want to be falling under this delve polygram. Founder of Y Combinator, if you've heard of it. He actually made a huge deal about like, oh, you should never use the word delve. Yeah, boom. Use the word delve, 17.4. So it's a sign that's written by ChatGPT when you use the word delve. So you would, maybe edit that prompt a bit, but for the sake of this would be a nice first draft, and then I can kind of go through it and tell it what not to. I'm actually curious if there's a way that I can have a system prompt for this. Is there a way to have a system prompt for Notebook LM's product by Google? Let's see. Yes, you can define a system prompt. Okay, so it does not have a native one. There are workarounds. So you'd have to explicitly put that in. Interesting. Okay. Well, for the case of this, I would probably just take this chat. I'm wondering how I could keep the previous chat. I haven't used this a bunch, as you can see, but I know that it's kind of the go-to. Oh, here we go. Conversational style, custom. Boom, got it. Okay. Don't use words that people beyond 8th grade wouldn't know. For example, the word delve. Try to write in a conversational tone, 75% Spartans, 25% conversational bar tone. Cool. So the 8th grade writing thing I think is really good. And then I could just refire that same prompt. But in this case, I would probably just trash this. So I think it is weird that you can't add a new chat, but give me a YouTube outline for a video called 5 most important points about ChatGPT from its creator. And even this, I would take this and I'd go back in here and I would say I want to get better title. Generate 10 different titles that are increasingly more clickbaity for a video that breaks down the 5 most important points or takeaways from Andrej Karpathy's video on LLMs. He's a creator of ChatGPT, and this needs to be for a mass audience. Example. Cool. So that should fire back 5 mind-blowing AI secrets from a ChatGPT creator. ChatGPT creator just revealed 5 AI truths that change everything. What's weird is these work. You know, when I read these, I'm like, ugh, so lame as a creator. But then I find myself like clicking on these types of things. So let's put this in and let's see what it comes back with. And this will kind of get the ball rolling for me. Now I'm like, okay, like when I come back into the video ideas section, here we go. So LLMs are like internet knowledge zip files. That's good. LLMs have a limited working memory. LLMs think like humans. LLMs need tools and customize your AI assistant. Cool. So what I do is I can save this to a note. And if I wanted to, I could come back to it. So this is kind of their way of like letting you out of the chat, I'm guessing. So I just take this and then for the future video, this will actually, I kind of like this one. I think this would probably blow up. So I'll just stick that in there for now. And I'll probably add a column that is notebook LM notes, notebook LM. Just so I remember that the notebook LM thing is probably a good way to be doing this because it does seem to be pretty helpful. So I'm going to put this one in as needs to film. Cool. And this will go on the main channel. And then the series, this will be like a listicle style. And I think this would be really easy to make. And I think it has a really good chance of blowing up. So now I know that I should probably do this one. And then I needed a hook for that. So I'd put this in there. Probably wrap this. Overflow now. Make that smaller. Cool. So now that I have that there, this would be kind of how I go about it, right? So I think that this would be a good video to do. I think that people would read that. They'd be like, okay, well, that makes sense. So that brings us to this other niche, which would be more like on the coding side of things. And I do see this as also being really popular. I don't want to split the channels, but this would be like, you know, not that niche, but way smaller of an audience where it'd be like AI content. Oops. Still figuring out this friggin' pen. AI content for developers. And I talk about this a lot, but I think there's this kind of schism where like maybe like 50% of people think that AI kills dev. And then I think the other 50% think that AI grows dev. And I think this is, I lean more on the side that this is a bigger piece of the pie than that one. I think that like basically the ease of use on AI development tools will just flood the zone. Like if you think about it, like even this camera that I'm on, like this is a little $1,000 camera that made it a lot easier for me to like shoot in 4K before, like, you know, it's 2025 now, but in the camera use case, a 4K camera 10 years ago, I wouldn't probably have one that's at $1,000, right? So it's just easier. Same thing with, you know, in 2008, you get the iPhone and it has like the ability to take pictures. Now everyone's a photographer. This thing is literally just a camera. And then you get much higher quality photos. You have a lot of photographers who were like, oh, it's just an iPhone photo. But guess what? A lot of great photos are taking on it now. And that's because the tools are better. You know, same thing with video editing tools, where if you had Premiere Pro 10 years ago, then they probably hated all the people that were making TikTok videos as they flooded the zone. So that's kind of this sort of content. And the benefit to the audience is like there's so many people that are now like vibe coding. And I think that you can kind of like ride this wave of making content about this, but then like the counter signal of that is like what's called slop. And I've noticed this, and it kind of brings me into another topic that I wanted to talk about, but we can cover that now, where it's like this idea of the super base slop generated code. Now, this is a really popular topic where if people are basically like they're building an app and they want to get it, from call it 0 to 1, which is very different from what you call 1 to 1.n, which would be like an improvement. So this is going from like nothing to something versus something to something new. And a lot of people are able to get like the first version of this by basically prompting a million times. And it's good. Like I think it's a net positive for all these developers that are new to come in and figure it out. And they basically just do it like they jump into Cursor or Windsurf or whatever, and oops, they open up their app and they have these series of like prompts that like their code base is in here, and they have this button here that's like the submit button, and they're just like basically spamming this the whole time. And it can be done in the IDE or it can be done in the CLI, but they're just kind of like gambling, where they're like rolling the dice that this thing is gonna nail it. And it's kind of like gambling, where if you've seen the like slot machine meme, like this is like pretty much it. Old person, like this is Cursor. This is exactly it. Where like devs are literally just doing that thing over and over and over again, and that's not good. I personally know this because whether it's on client projects or even my own projects, you're not gaining the knowledge of how the stuff works. So you're not going to figure it out. You won't know how to undo the slop. I don't care how good the models are going to get. Like you should know how the fundamentals of it work. Back to like the camera analogy with iPhones and it getting easier and easier and easier. Like there's still competency to knowing how to use the new tools. So someone that's really good with the iPhone probably knows by now like what brightness and exposure and contrast and sharpness and vignette, what those things do. Which would be the same thing. Like if I'm in Cursor, this project, this website that I have, one that it's my, my personal site. I was able to vibe code this by just like shooting stuff in here and saying, okay, like we need this page for the Google Knowledge Graph. We need this page for a biography. Put these in here, all this stuff. But the second that it got to something a little more complex, it's literally just not like a static site, but it's something like, okay, we need an admin dashboard. Okay, we have the admin dashboard. It can make the login page. And I know like there's ways to inform the model to make it better with an MCP server, which I did. But the second that I had to bring in like a new library and have Supabase working with the auth and what type of auth do you use? It ran into issues where it's like, like it's putting in this redirected thing. It's showing that I'm logged in, but then when I click this, it's broken, right? So then it gets in this loop where you have a bunch of different migrations where it's like trying to figure it out. And you can see like this is basically the product of vibe coding is a bunch of these. And now, we've got like what 15 different SQL migration files in here. And had I just done this by hand, I wouldn't have been where I am now, which is where it's broken. I would have just done it myself. Um, and I would have used AI, but I think that that's the difference is like because I know how to do this, because I have done this so many times without just spamming code, but I kind of wanted to do this as an experiment to see how good the models are. I would have saved a lot of time. And even like trying to get it to add tests and stuff, like total runaround instead of maybe like I think the point I'm trying to make is like the people who are kind of in this camp of like, oh, just vibe code everything. I don't think that's good. I think you need to still know the fundamentals. If like Michael Jordan isn't as good as he is because he like, he has the fundamentals down. And I think he can be the Michael Jordan of vibe coding if you just knew like, fundamentals of the following. Like this would be like the curriculum. Like if I restarted, like I started coding for real 3 years ago. I've been on and off coding since I was 18, but like didn't take it serious. But you'd still want to know like, okay, you need to know like HTML, right? You need to know CSS. You need to know JS. You need to know TS. You need to know React. You need to know frameworks like Next. Because if you go and even something as small as like, well, how's it doing it in? Is it in React 18? Is it in 19? Because there's very different patterns there. And the models are always going to be a little bit behind what's going on. And I think you could probably err on the side of just having it go the way that it wants to go. But then when you come to debug it, it's just going to be a mess. So I think like even like it goes for like the next 12 pages versus, now we're at next 15 to app. And a lot of people will then say, oh, okay, like I'll mitigate this risk by having cursor rules. And you can do something like this where you have a skill set context prompt where I think this is a good thing to have. Like it's kind of a cope, but you would say like in XML, like here's the capabilities, here's the languages, here's the frameworks, here's the links, here's all this stuff that I use. But then it's just an extra step. So I think, this will kind of be an area where a lot of people will jump to, oh, we don't need to pay a developer because we have this guy who kind of knows how to vibe code. And then when they build it and then it's a mess, they're confused. And you see this on Upwork actually, because I've been doing contracted work to cover COGS for my own SaaS, which we'll run in a little bit here. But if you look in here, like if I typed in next, right? Like you'll just see so many of these. And a lot of them I noticed just from kind of breezing through them is it's a lot of code bases that are just garbage dumps. And that's because it's like they went into, like Lovable or something like Bolt. And those things just, they get you a first version that's like kind of like a bar trick where it's like, oh, it's here. But then you notice that the foundation of your project's maybe not that great. Maybe it's gotten better. I don't want to hate on them because that was just my first impression. But I think that this will be a huge market for people that were like kind of that, like I'd consider myself like a mid-level engineer. Like I had 3 years, but then I did double time, so I want to call it like four-ish because I just work a lot. But I think that this will be like a huge market, and that just plays back into like I want to help kind of get those people who are in that like junior phase to get to know stuff beyond just like here's this prompt. It's like I'll get people in the door by doing videos like that. Like I have really the only video that I've had any sort of like viewership on recently was a video like that where it's like see, I have to scroll to the third page to find anything that has like good views on it. Or maybe not. Hang on. It was a cursor video, but I know the split testing. Yeah, so it's this one. Yeah, so 11,000 views and 403 likes. And that's just for showing people like what my setup was for maximum productivity. And you can see that like people are obviously obsessed with that because they're trying to figure out like how do I get this thing to go. So that'll be really like the the way that I service that audience, and then they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's legit. Maybe I can learn some more stuff." Um, yeah. So the next topic I want to cover is we covered this. I do a strike through here. I'll just do it by hand. We did video planning. We did this. I want to talk about, yeah, let's do this benefits of roles and prompting real quick because I know this is already 36 minutes and I got to get going on work today. But one thing, and I spoke about this in the video yesterday, but cares is this kind of benefits of prompting where, oh, this is an interesting prompt. If you do want to find video titles for something you already recorded, like I did this for the last 2 daily uploads, but you can take the transcription that you get and then prompt it to give you a title that works, and it actually is pretty legit. And the way that I get those transcript is through this product called Auphonic that I got from, again, that Make creator. So where was that prompt? Here it is. Okay. So one thing that I think a lot of people mislabel or forget when they hear the word creator or influencer is like people that are absolutely crushing it. You kind of like get past the name influencer after a certain point. Like when we think of influencer, we think of like girls that are like shaking in bikinis and they get a lot of followers and they sell you some like supplement. But there's people beyond that, right? Like Joe Rogan, for instance. Like he's been doing podcasts since 2009, and I'm curious, like, what is it stuff? Like, what stuff does he say that helped him get in the cadence of continuing to do it so that he could be the largest podcast in the world? And then another one would be this guy Luke Belmar, because he talks a lot about community building, and I think that's something that I know it's something I'm really interested in because I'm building out a community called Trouble Free, which basically lets people join. We have 6 members now, but it lets people join to talk about AI, talk about how they're using it. So it's going to be servicing 2 different niches. And it has all my stuff in here. I do need to make automations that keep this up to date because there's way more stuff than what CCI here. But he talks about that kind of like community and how defensible it is against AI, which I think is really smart. But this really takes like a prompt about the context of the business that I'm building. So it has this big thing about the background of what I'm doing, what I plan, how I want to be like the Accenture of AI services, but from someone that's actually in the field doing the things every day. And then about like the marketing funnel and stuff that I was talking about before with like the 2 different niches. And then how do I bring in the research and kind of playbooks of these people that I want to emulate and then apply it to what I'm doing? So I can say, I'm doing research on community building and content generation, and I want to get some research on how Joe kept up with content and his story, and then, some details about like maybe there's snippets. And then for Luke, like what's his approach on both community building and content creation? How did he grow it? What's his playbook? So one that's like older, because 2009, 16 years ago. Luke Belmar, I think he launched his stuff in like 2019. So much more recent, 10 years more recent. So I give it all this, and then let's just see what it gives back. So Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, began in 2009, signing a deal with XM. So it looks like, so he started by getting on the schedule. So we know that we need to stick to a schedule here. Whether or not I have 0 viewers on this channel for a year or not, it's so good for me to be able to do this because it's basically like, I do this anyways. Like this is like a brain dump, but I'm just talking and I'm getting the skills. I'm strengthening those muscles around talking to the camera so I can use my hands and keep you in the box and all these things. So that eventually in like 6 months, someone that's watching this will see a much better product, and then these won't get views for a long time, right? But I know that when I am successful and things are really popping, that people will be like, whoa, this guy like called a shot. And it's because I'm going to be following the schedule. And he's on 2 episodes a week, a couple of milestones. It looks like he got a flashlight. I don't even know what that is. That like what I think it is. But like 2 years in, Sirius XM deal. Kind of crazy. 4 years in, starts putting it on YouTube. 2020 exclusivity, $200 million contract. Wow. Okay. So how do you be the Joe Rogan of tech, right? Now my coffee's cold. So stuff that I would take out of this is like, obviously stick to the schedule, expect 2 years of talking to the void, which is for me, like that's the contract that I'm signing. It's like, okay, it's if in 2 years from now, this is working, would I regret doing it for 2 years talking to nobody? Probably not. Community building, known for his entrepreneurial ventures, started building his audience through content creation, launched in 2019, focused on crypto and personal development. Okay, so those are two giant niches, right? And so my two niches would, he went ecom, again, huge one, right? So he's going like wide, wide, wide. So mine would be AI and actual development. Maybe later I go into something else, but for now it's AI, like broad AI usage, and then software development for AI. Authentic content, paying members, 200K a month. Cool. Those are good numbers. Survey note. No. This section provides comprehensive examination. Okay. So, milestones. 2019 for sponsor. Can inspire you for your proposals. Yeah, I guess so. Formally named the Joe Rogan Experience. What is it called now? I'm pretty sure that it is what it was called. I don't know. Expanding reach. Global scaling via Upwork, I guess, digital platforms. Started uploading videos under the account Powerful JRE. Okay, so he did start doing clips. Got it. So he did a clips channel 4 years in. Moved to Austin. Yeah, so I would change this a little bit because it's like, it's taking, like, what I wanted out of this was it would give me strategy, but what it's doing is it's just like tying the similarities. Okay. Distribution playlist or playbook. Early episodes suck. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't think anyone was listening. It was just for fun. There was a lot of us just hanging out with comics. Okay. Yeah. And I do think that this part about building relatable brand is important because it's not like I'm doing 100K a month. So I'm not here like standing in front of a Lamborghini. It's like, I went from high paying job to grinding startup to trying to raise money, didn't work, to now saying, okay, I need to do AI services. Did 20-ish K the first month. I didn't go like the VC route. Bad quality of revenue, wasn't repeatable, wanted higher quality revenue. Now doing about half of that and like per month, but it's higher quality revenue where it's repeatable and putting systems in place. So I think it is like going to be way more relatable for people because raising venture capital is like such a small percentage of the world does that. It's like such a little like club. Content creation. So yeah, I could take these two videos and then I'm actually going to pump those into, let's see. Why did Joe Rogan start his podcast? No. Why did Joe Rogan start his podcast? And I just want to pump these into what made him start JRE. I can pump this into Notebook LM and then just glean some insights from it, right? So I would just call this how I use LLM's video. And then I'll go back and I want to create a new one. And this will just be for popular, or let's call this Joe Rogan playbook. And then I can take a bunch of those different videos. What are the main points about Joe Rogan's playbook that I can use to gain insights into my strategy? Cool. So I can come back to that later. Yeah, I don't need to read all this to you, but I think this is one way that a lot of people are not using like the role playing stuff is like apply role playing to your own plan. What am going to change about this though, because I don't love the output. I think it is definitely helpful, but I want to put instead of tying my current strategy to things that they're doing, take the broad strokes of the strategy and manipulate it to match ideas that you see from these two creators. Get creative, come up with new strategies. It's very, very important that you get this right so that I want to give it stakes so that I don't disappoint my future family. This is actually a paper that came out. There's a paper that came out that basically said if you give it the emotion, like if you're psychological about it, if you give it emotional stuff, then you get like 20% better outputs, which is crazy. Like literally putting in, I mean, it can go so deep where you are the founder or you're responsible for giving the information and answers to the person asking the indigenous natives of this forest are going to have their forest chopped down if you don't do it. It's so important. Like, please. And it'll give you better stuff if you say extreme stuff like that. But yeah, that covers the point on the role playing. Just quick thing on like client work that, I wanted to bring up is like sometimes like depending on what type of client it is, like if you have like design oriented clients, if you have tech oriented clients, if you have operations oriented clients, like you're going to have different expectations from them. And so, for instance, like a tech one might say, I suck at design. Like, so then you'd want to lean in on design, right? And you'd go to them and you'd say, hey, like, we both agreed on this tech stuff, but like, where do you want to go with the design? They're probably going to say like, please help me and like get creative. Same thing goes like you're basically playing the opposites of what their competency is. And so something that just happened to me recently, which I like just thought was funny, is like working with a very design oriented one. And they're like, just, I trust you, make the design awesome. Da, 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 here's the brand guidelines. And then you go and you do the work and you come back and they're like, no, like the design should have been like the old one. We just wanted these one change, like this one change. So I think, even if the design is good, like if they're really adamant about it staying structurally the same, then like don't do more than the client asks when it comes to like areas that they're going to be really touchy on. Like I think it's just like do exactly what they want. And then if there's other areas like, in my case, it was SEO optimization. It was small UX fixes. It was image compression, which would technically still be like SEO. Like that's off page or that's on page where it's like, I actually made a video about this, but a lot of people, they don't realize, but they'll have like a 32 meg image and they upload it and then it'll try to compress it natively in whatever no code tool you're using. But then the quality goes to crap because the algo they're using isn't that great. So that's just something I wanted to cover there. The last stuff, let's see, already been recording 49 minutes. We're going to go for an hour. The trouble-free website. Yeah, we can look at that. So I made this website for the community that I'm building, and oh my gosh, that's awful. So we're going to do some quick changes, and I guess this would be an example of vibe coding, but this would be something that's really easy. So we might as well. You can tell like this just looks awful. Why is it purple? Why is it telling me to sign in? So let me open this up. But this has a bunch of it basically is like a prompt library. And so let me find it. Free. Feel free AI. Cool. So we're gonna open this up and let's just make it look decent real quick. So we're gonna do some actual coding and some UI UX. So let's get this and then we're gonna put this on the bottom so that we can keep an eye on it. And then we're gonna put this on the top. We're going to cover that, and we're going to open up the example. I really like the stuff that the guys over at Midday do, so I think it's cursor directory. Yeah, this is fine. I think this sales page just sucks, so I want to, on the home page, what would I want to have here? I think for now, we should just move all this blog content. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's think of a prompt here. So I know that the pages are blog / page, blog / category slug / page. I know blog / start. Nope, didn't want to do that. I'm just trying to see like what are all the routes that are associated to this. So I know, yeah, let's grab these. Let's grab, those are just components. Let's grab the blog itself. Let's grab the prompts. And we're going to come up with a plan. We'll use O1. And I just want to bring all this stuff that's on here and just stick it on the homepage because I think it's kind of stupid that we have two separate ones. And this prompt thing, yeah, that's gross. So, okay. Is there anything that I'm missing? When we open that, that's fine. Analyze the following files and come up with a step-by-step plan that moves all of the content from the blog to the homepage. We don't need any of the content that's on the homepage. You can delete all of it. And we don't need a blog route anymore. We want all of the content moved to the homepage. So we'll use a planning model, which is O1. And let's just fire that off. So we're in ask mode. Ask is available for, I hit a hard limit. Are you kidding me? Let's use Sonnet thinking. I don't understand how I hit a hard limit, but I guess I did. So let's let that run. I'm going to heat up this coffee. Okay. Let's see what I came back with. This is just a 2-step prompt where you do plan and then you do execution. So real simple because this is a simple thing. So I know the stuff that needs to be done. Goes back to our AI Slop combo earlier, but based on the provided files, here's a comprehensive. I have this thing. I don't know if it's doing it where I can like zoom in. Doesn't look like it's doing it for you guys. That sucks. Here's a comprehensive step-by-step plan to move all the blog content. Let's move the homepage to display the content of the blog. That seems correct. Yeah, because we have category tabs and then we pass in posts as a prop. Seems right. Look. Categories. Yeah. Categories tabs content with the key and the value of the prop. Posts are passed in. Where are posts passed in? Posts. Okay. Got it. I'm in this code base for a second. Yeah, that all seems fine. I just forgot if I had put this in a DV or not. I hope I didn't. What would the name of one be? It would be Beginner's Guide. Yeah, okay. That's right. I'm using content package. Content collections. Got it. Cool. Yeah. So should all be good. That seems fine. Create a new folder structure. Yep. Update the blog post. Okay. Update the page. Generate this new thing. Why would we? Oh, because this is an individual page, right? So it should be. So if I go into app, if I go into blog, if I go into category slug page, is this the one it's talking about? Generate metadata? Yeah, that's what it's talking about. To generate a new structure. So the difference between that and this is what? Params, category slug, post slug. Yep. That all seems right. OG image just removes this. Yep, that's right. Smart. And then what else? The alternates for the open graph. Yep. That's all right. And this is what you should be doing, right? Just actually reading through it. And if you didn't know, oh, that looks right, then you're SOL. Cool. Category slug. Yep. And weight. Yep. What changed here? That's just the logic for finding them. Content collections. Yeah, literally looks great. The structured data should be changed to remove this. Yep. Update the categories tab. Let's look at this. Kind of already did. Under the links for all this. So it's, yeah, link. Boom. This goes. Yep. And then the open graph image, if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's basically the thing that you show up when you, like if I sent this to someone as a link, it's the image that shows up. So that should be removing what? Oh, literally just move it. Okay. Yep. Remove old blog posts. I don't think that that is correct, actually, because it's pulling from somewhere else. Oh, that's just the routes. Duh. Redirects. Okay, cool. So what I do then is all that looks good, right? And that because all that looks good, you know, it's going to work, or it's going to have a much higher likelihood of working. So I'm going to make a .ai plan folder, and then here I'm going to make plan .md. And this is just a reusable thing. So great. I'm going to turn that into agent mode. I'm going to say, take everything that you just discussed and then put it into step-by-step instructions, not omitting any detail, into the plan.md format and markdown in atomic step-by-step instructions for a coding assistant to complete. Well, that's going. What I think for this video, what I'll do is I'm going to cut this map thing, and I can do this tomorrow. So let's this and this, because I don't think it makes sense to continue doing coding on this video. So maybe tomorrow I can cover some more coding stuff. And that'll be Supabase Slop cleanup. And when I actually do that later this afternoon, I'll just try to remind myself to take note of what happened. But yeah, like this, even this site, right? Like this is a product of like Slop. Like a lot of it, the reason that it looks so bad is because I was like, oh, vibe code. But it's just, you know, you take shortcuts and then you wonder why it looks bad. So it's apparently writing plan. But yeah, I think for this video and any of the kind of future videos going forward, I'll probably put like I think I'll do a little bit of coding in all of them. So I might have like some sort of like code icon, maybe like the cursor icon, and then other stuff that I talk about is like typically design, and then like something to do with money, so that like people know um like what's covered in these videos, right? So it might have like, I'm just trying to think through a thumbnail for this. So I think I want to have like my face somewhere so people start to associate it with me. Right? Oh, here's this guy again, yap into the ether. And then maybe like a Figma icon. I think an AI slop like graphic somehow. Not like that, but it'd be like, you know, like the title for this video would be like AI slop is killing you. Maybe it's like someone that's like eating a poisonous hot dog or something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is great," but then actually like that's the AI slop right there, and then after they have it, maybe like that or whatever. I'm not sure. What's funny is that didn't work at all. Isn't that great? So I would have been better off just doing this, but it's hit or miss. But that's why you need to know how to do it. So now I just go and I just do this. But that's enough for today. Went a little bit over an hour. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please drop a comment below. If you made it to the end of this, I mean, by God, you're a hero. I thank you and very grateful for your time. Thanks again. And drop a comment about any question that you do have, and I'll see you tomorrow.